investor, is a good friend of mine. He's also a partner. He's going to talk about a topic that's very important in today's market economy. I know. So without further ado, please welcome my good friend and my partner, Mr. Phill Grove.
This is a picture of me with George Ross. I actually got this picture taken at the last Mega Partnering. I met George at the last Mega Partnering event about 6 months ago. Since then, I've gotten to know George a little bit, and he actually came and spoke at an event of mine in Austin, and then he came over to my home, and he and I were exchanging war stories on lending, and he told me his war story on lending. He's actually working with a guy in New York City. The guy wants to buy an acre of land in New York City. He's got it under contract for $5 million, which is a smoking hot deal, okay? And what he wants to do is he wants to put $4 million cash down and borrow $1 million from the bank, okay? And he applies for the loan, and the banker turned him down. And George basically calls up the bank, what are you, nuts? The guy's going to put 80% down. It's a 20% loan-to-value deal on a smoking deal to boot. I mean, this is insane. And the banker told George, nobody gets fired for saying no to a loan. You know, if I say yes and something goes wrong, you know, I join that 10% of the people that are unemployed. So the lending world is really Looney Tunes nuts, and I'm pissed off, okay? This has screwed up my business. I can't flip houses anymore. I can't get loans. I have perfect credit. Not that it matters. I'm kind of a wealthy guy. Not that it matters. The banks will not loan me money. The banks are ruining the country. Okay? These guys got us into this mess because they thought giving subprime zero-down loans to people who had no money was a good idea. That got us into the Great Recession. And then instead of letting these banks go broke, we bailed them out and we put them in charge of the recovery. I mean, that's how nuts that this whole thing is. And now the whole USA is in trouble. We're in the Great Recession, and lending is frozen, and we're having a difficult time getting ourselves out of this. Okay, let me talk about how this relates to real estate and my business. These are the deals that I made money on between 2003 and 2008. I actually did 1,200 deals. In fact, if you add up all the deals, I did wholesaling, I did owner financing, I did short sales, I did assigning, I did flips, I did renovations, I did rental properties, and from 2003 to 2008, I actually got a home under contract on average every 39 and a half hours. I was very busy. And life was good. You know, it was the perfect market to be a real estate investor. Easy to find broke motivated sellers, easy to find buyers that could buy the properties with loans. It was easy to pick up equity deals. It was easy to flip houses. And then in 2008, the real estate market died. That's the news bulletin. It died. Many investors, many gurus, many realtors have all gone under, but not me, and I'm going to tell you why. So let's talk about the death of the real estate market. What worked before, what works now? These are the strategies that I made money on between 2003 and 2008. I love wholesaling. I buy properties subject to. I do a lot of short sales. I sell with owner financing. And I know we have a variety of skill levels and experience in the room, so I'm going to kind of zero in on each one of these different strategies and talk about them for a couple minutes, starting with wholesaling. I love wholesaling. Wholesaling is where you find a deal, find a property, you get it under contract. But you don't actually buy the property. You simply assign your contract to somebody else in exchange for a fee. You can make $500 to $5,000 on a little deal, 10 to 25 on a bigger deal, 25 or more on a large deal. And it's a low-risk strategy, okay, because you can just, you know, terminate your contract if you can't find somebody to assign the contract. And of course, the real benefit of wholesaling is it's very fast money, okay, because I don't have to actually buy the property myself and fix it up and wait to sell it. I just wholesale it to somebody else, and I get fast cash out of the deal. So kind of from a mechanics point of view, you've got a seller. An investor basically gets the seller's property under contract and then assigns that contract to another buyer by crossing their name out on the contract and writing in the other person's name in exchange for an assignment fee. So the investor gets his fast cash up front, and then the other buyer gets to buy the home from the seller using cash or a new loan or whatever. That's the mechanics of wholesaling. And wholesaling has been very, very good to me. But after 2008, here's the problem. There's just very few sellers that have a lot of equity. To get a wholesale deal, you got to find a house that you can get it like 50 cents on the dollar and then wholesale it at 60 or 70 cents on the dollar. And then the bigger problem is there's just not that many people that have cash. So whatever money I made in wholesaling has been cut by about 70%. I'm not saying I can't do it at all, but the money is not there where it used to be. Okay, let's look at the next strategy. The next strategy is buying properties subject to. Now, I'm a transactional engineer. I love strategy. I like knowing a lot of different tricks. I would never say you should know one trick, but if you only did know one trick, this is the one to know, buying property subject to. When you buy property subject to, what you're doing is you're basically agreeing to take over the payments on somebody else's mortgage in exchange for the deed. So you get to buy properties with as little as no money at all out of pocket. And then your exit strategy can be anything you want it to be. You can renovate these things and retail them. You can wrap them. You can turn them into rental properties. You can make $15,000, $20,000, $5,000 down spread, keep them as rental properties, whatever you want to do. It's a medium risk strategy, okay? You have a moral and legal obligation to keep paying the mortgage on this other person's note. So you do have the responsibility of making the payments on their loan. But of course, the real benefit of buying property subject to is it doesn't cost anything. You're not limited, you're not scale limited by money. You know, when you try to scale up your business, there's certain things that are going to limit how many deals you can do. If you can do deals without any money, you can do an infinite number of deals. So it's a no money strategy. Here's a case study. You know, sometimes people ask me, they just say, I just don't understand. You know, they have to see real data and real numbers and real things to see how this works. This is a house I own. It's a rental property, and it's worth $150,000. The loan on this property is only $110,000. And the owner is renting this out for $1,600 a month. The total payment, PITI, and interest, insurance, taxes, is only $1,100 a month. So the owner's making $500 a month in cash flow. Sounds like a great deal with one problem. The owner was pocketing the rent and not making the underlying mortgage payment, and it's 4 days away from foreclosure. So 4 days before the auction, I went to the owner and I said, hey, you don't want a foreclosure? No. If you deed the property over to me, I will catch up the payments on your loan and I will make the payments going forward. That's buying a property subject to. And she said, deal, because what? It was way better than her alternatives. And it was a good deal for the bank too, because they didn't want to foreclose on it. It was a great deal for the tenant because they didn't want to get kicked out, but mostly it was a great deal for me because for $4,500, which is what it cost me to catch up the loan or reinstate the loan, now I own this beautiful $150,000 home. It came with a loan. A loan is only $110,000. I've got $40,000 in equity. I'm making $500 a month positive cash flow. That's the power of subject to. Of course, the real power of subject to is I own about 20 of these deals. So you want to know how to buy property subject to. What's the catch? After 2008, it's just very hard to find that deal anymore. Those people that had all that equity are mostly gone. Okay, well, what's left? Well, we can make money doing short sales. I love doing short sales. The way short sales work is you find properties and it doesn't really matter what they owe. It doesn't really matter what it's worth. You simply make an offer on the property for whatever you want to buy it for. You know, whatever is a good price to you. And then you go and negotiate that offer with the lender. And then if you get the lender to agree to take your offer, and sometimes they will, it's better than a poke in the eye with a stick, then you get to buy a property at a discount and then you can flip it or assign it. You can make anywhere from $500 to $5,000, little deal, 10 to 25 on a flip, 100,000 or more on a luxury short sale. And it's a low risk strategy. You can terminate your contract, you can terminate any deal that you don't want. And the benefit of short sales is it's super easy to find sellers. Short sales are easy to find in 2003, they're easy to find in 2007, they're easy to find in 2011. Super easy to find sellers. Speaking of short sales, I'm actually one of America's leading experts on short sales, having done over 1,100 short sales. We have a whole transaction processing company that does short sales. But the problem with short sales is that after 2008, when the lending dried up, there are simply fewer buyers with loans. Now what we're seeing is more than 50% of short sales end in foreclosure, because even if the bank accepts the offer, there's simply nobody left. There's way more houses available than there are buyers to buy them, and these houses just sit on the market, and eventually the lenders just go ahead and foreclose them. The other problem with short sales is they've been functionally legislated almost out of existence. There's all sorts of seasoning rules on loans, anti-flipping rules. It's become very difficult and challenging for investors to make money with short sales. Okay, so what's left? Owner financing. I like owner financing. With owner financing, you buy a property. Well, I don't know, you can buy it subject to, with owner financing, with conventional. However you buy it, what you do is you sell it with owner financing. And if you sell a property with owner financing, with the financing that goes along with the property, there's two things you can always be assured of when you sell a property with owner financing. It will sell faster, and it will sell for a premium price. It will sell for more money. That's always true with owner financing. So you can make, a down payment, a monthly spread. You can make a back end when the buyer refinances. And it's a medium risk strategy. The one problem with owner financing is you, the investor, are now a subprime lender. In other words, you're loaning money, you're giving a loan to somebody who can't get a conventional loan. Okay? Now, in 2005, I think this was a terrible idea, because in 2005, when anybody could get a loan, the only guy you could do this with was who? The guy who broke out of jail and robbed the 7-Eleven on the way over to the title company because he had to steal the down payment. I mean, that was your buyer. 2011 is a little different. And of course, the benefit of owner financing is it's super easy to find buyers. There's always buyers that want to buy homes with owner financing. What's the catch? After 2008, there's just very few sellers that still have enough equity that this makes sense. So what's the whole point here? The things that worked don't work anymore. And I analyzed the market, and I saw my business going, making less money, and I had an epiphany, okay? I didn't make all that money on all those deals because the deals were easy to find. I didn't make all that money because the homes were easy to find. I made all that money because the homes were easy to sell, okay? That's really what it was all about. There are still plenty of houses, there's just no loans. In other words, the value in today's market of having a loan is much greater than the value of having a home or a deal.